All right. Welcome, guys. All right. So for this is for strictly for insurance agents, and this is for new agents coming into the insurance space, and they are going to be dabbling in the leads. So I figured I'll make this video just based on my personal experience. Now, as a life insurance agent, as I used to be a life insurance agent myself, I sold final expense leads and I sold mortgage protection. Right. You're coming in here, you're like, hey, so what is the difference between a final expense lead and a mortgage protection lead? Right. Think about it. It's all based off of the intent, right? What are they going to use the funds for, right? Think about whatever you sell, you have to sell, put an intent to it, right? A label. So final expenses basically, as the name is the funds are only going to be used to cover the funeral costs, the burial costs, to leave some money behind. Typically, these are policies that range anything from, cap out at 30,000. Sometimes you might get depends on your age. If you're usually around 40 to 45, might be able to get it around 50,000. Those are final expense leads, right? Final expense policies, sales per se. And mortgage protection basically is more of the intent as far as the buyer is buying it just for the simple fact as to pay for the mortgages, right? To if they pass away, the family is basically left. They get money left behind to be able to pay off the mortgage. Now, most mortgage protection policies depend on the carrier with. Some of them do offer a cashback option. A cashback option is basically if they don't pass away with it in term, usually 25, 30-year term, they get their money back. Now, this is counting on the policy owner being very diligent in making your payments, as long as they cannot skip a payment. And also not skip a payment within the grace period, and then they can pay it for the full 25 years, then they get their money back. So this is very dependent on, the basically the insured actually keeping to making the payments. So usually those policies are a little bit more expensive, but mortgage protection typically ranging with people who are homeowners, and there's more intent to it, right? Now, I'm not going to dive into what mortgage protection is or final expense or any of that stuff, but I want to talk about it from a lead perspective as you as the agent, right? Majority of the agents coming in are like, man, they start out final expense leads because final expense leads are easy to get, right? I hate to say, but people who are seniors are typically retired, and then they're on Facebook, they have nothing to do. So they're filling out forms. So these leads are very easy to generate. The only con to it is they believe that it is free. Okay, most lead generation tools or lead generation baits or hooks or creatives or copies make it sound as though the state will pay for it, right? Like that's why some agents will call and say, they call from this office, that office. The main thing is just to kind of give up the perspective that the state's going to pay for it. And then the mortgage protection is basically you give up the perspective that you're kind of associated some way, shape, or form with the bank. It's kind of a little bit, I don't want to say misleading, but it's a little bit kind of on the edge per se as far as getting that appointment. Now, once you get the appointment set and you're in the door, then you can go ahead and tell them what it's all about. And here's the God's honest truth is people really don't care as far as like, yeah, they spoke to you on the phone as far as, they spoke to you on the phone and they were expecting you to, they're like, oh, are you sure with the bank? And you're like, no, or yes, whatever you told them. And then you come in and you're like, hey, this is actually full life insurance, right? So whatever you do, just remember I'm going to just give you guys a quick appointment setting tip is the tonality that you speak is very important, right? You want to kind of come up from the perspective as though you are in a position of authority, but you also want to come up from the perspective as though you are kind of indifferent to whatever it is they do. Your job is just to get the job done. Hey, this is Emmanuel calling from this and this benefits office. Just calling and get that information out to you regarding final expense plans. I'll be in your area between 4 and 6 p.m. tomorrow. What time works best for me to drop this off, right? They're like, what? Yeah, it's regarding the final expense form. Now, you're going to be home between 4 and 6, so I can drop it off. Yeah, I'll be home at 6. Okay, perfect. So now let me see the house that I'm seeing here. Street is 123 Success Street. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. Okay, perfect. All right. And let me see. What's the color of the house? Yellow. Okay. All right, perfect. All right. Is there any space for me to park in the driveway? Yeah, there is. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Good. So I'll be driving a white Honda Accord when I come in there. Just do me a favor and just, if you have any dogs, which you don't have any dogs, right? No. Okay, good. Do me a favor and just, if you do, just go ahead and keep them to the side, please. And I'll be brief. Should take less than 5 minutes. Okay. I'll be in your area. All right. So what's my name again? Oh, your name is Emmanuel. All right, perfect. Hey, can you do me a favor real quick? Grab a pen and paper. I just want to leave my information with you. Okay. Yeah, sure. They grab a pen and paper. Hey, my name is Emmanuel. State license number is blah, 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 blah. And like, once, what car again was I coming in? White Honda. All right, perfect, awesome, good. And your wife is gonna be there as well, right? Oh, I'm not married. Okay, perfect, good. That's fine. I'll see you on tomorrow, whatever date is. That's how I would set my appointment. I just get straight to the point. Hey, it's Emmanuel calling regarding that final expense form. I'm just calling to drop this information off, and then just get ready for the rebuttals. I don't like long scripts. I don't want to talk about scripts, but I didn't like long scripts. I just go straight for it because 90% of setting up an appointment, I know I'm kind of getting diverted here, but 90% of setting a final expense mortgage protection appointment is overcoming objections. If you don't know the objection game, best of luck to you. All right. So final expense leads, they typically range anything from, you're looking at roughly anything from, let's go ahead and I'm just going to write it out. They typically range, you can get them on the low end. It all depends on where, on where you're getting them from. But if you're getting them from Facebook, you're typically looking at roughly paying a lead vendor roughly 25 on the low end to around 45 on the high end. It all depends on where you're getting them from. Now, the downside to this is most of them believe that it's free, and we're going to cover that in a little bit. So it's usually 25 to 45. Availability, they're pretty easy to get, right? So it's checked. It's very available, easy to get. Ease of sale. Now, is it easy to sell? Yes and no. Okay. Now, the thing is this: you're going to sell final expense policies, but typically your premiums are going to be on the lower end. You might get a little high end here and there, but majority of the time you're looking at roughly about $70, $80 a month policies. If you're in good commission, you can make $600 off of it. But ease of sale, yes and no. Just keep in mind, the audience that you're selling to, they understand the need for it. They know that they're gonna die. They're gonna die at some point. But the downside to it is they don't have the money. So is it easy to sell? Yes and no. So this is a question mark. Okay. So return on investment. Return on investment. Personally, what I would notice is most agents will spend roughly about $500 with a lead vendor, right? Which at 25 would give you 25 leads. And out of 25 leads, you typically set about 4 appointments. Okay. So if you set up 4 appointments, okay. So out of the $500, you get 25. Okay. Let's do this in the next page. So out of 500, you set 25 appointments. Okay. After you set 25 appointments, you're looking at roughly closing anything from 2 to 4. No, you get 25 leads. It's 2 to 4. This is actually being very, very, very liberal here. Because here's what's going to happen is this: out of the 2 to 4, you're going to sell. What does that mean? That means they're actually going to say yes to apply. Usually about 1 out of 4 will get approved for anything over $80 a month. Okay, so which means if your commission is like 100%, you're probably making $450 to $600 out of your $500 spend. This is typically low end. Sometimes you might make, there's people who make $3 to $4 grand, but you're looking at making roughly about $450 to $600. So just kind of keep in perspective there, as far as if you buy leads from lead vendors, you're probably going to break even. Okay, 0-0. You're probably going to break even, but odds of you becoming rich off of final expense leads, there are people who do it, but I mean, it's not the norm. Okay, and I'm talking to the agents out there who are struggling. Is profitability? We'll talk about it in a little bit. So that's where this comes in as far as ROI. You're really not really getting a high return in investment when you do final expense. You're not really getting a high return investment because you are having to, for the most part, you're having to deal with health issues. Because I hate to say it, but a majority of people who apply for final expense, people who are clicking on it, are people who have some sort of something health-wise going on. So they typically do not get qualified for the level or immediate coverage. They get qualified for the graded policies, which means you're dealing with a lot of declines. That's the only problem with that. Either they think it's free or you're dealing with a lot of declines. So return on investment, I would say 0. Okay. Competition. Now, because they're easy to get, and most of them, if you're buying them from your lead company, they're usually resold. Competition is very, very high. I've written my final expense policies almost always get replaced. And I remember this one, I know it sounds bad, but I remember this one got replaced by, I believe he said she would be saving $7 a month. Based off of $7 a month, he got her to cancel a 2-month policy. It's already 2 months in. He just said, not 2 months in, 2 years in, he got her to cancel it. And then There you go. She canceled it. So competition, I would say high. Persistency. Persistency. Now you have to understand something. Here's the downside to it. Majority of people who are signed up for filing expense are on a fixed income. They already retired, which means they were not planning for that bill. And if you're paying for $200 and $250 a month, what do you think is the first thing they're going to cancel? They're going to cancel that insurance. Okay. So persistency, very low. Okay. So overall, would I recommend filing expense leads, like actually running filing expense? I think you can make roughly about 15 to 20K ish, give or take. Issue paid business, and then take home. You're probably going to take home. I don't want to congest this area here. Take home. You're probably going to take home after your advance. Depends on your commission, maybe, and chargeback. You might net 6,000 a month. You might net $6,000 a month after expenses, lead cost, and what you call it, and you sell. You might make $6,000. You might net $6,000 for the month, right? So $6,000 a month times 12. I mean, that's 72 grand. So you're making good money if you're talking about your ROI, right? ROI. But do I recommend them? Do I recommend final expense? I would say no. Now let's look at mortgage protection. Now the thing about mortgage protection leads are typically the creme de la creme because usually most of these people are working, and majority of the time, one, they have a bank account. Because another thing as well, filing expenses, you will run into a few people that have no bank account. Versus mortgage protection, you're required to have a bank account just to be able to get a loan for the house. So there's nobody that I've ever sold mortgage protection to that's like, oh, well, I don't have a bank account. That's not true. You have a bank account, my friend. So that's another thing with mortgage protection is, as far as cost goes, I mean, honestly, it all depends. Usually paying anything from 40 to, sometimes 100, the high hundreds. It could go anything from 40 to upper hundreds. Okay, because they're very, very hard to come by. Availability is no. Typically, most people sell mortgage protection via mailers. What that means is people see a card in the mail once they move in. They think it's from the bank. They fill it out. They send it back. And then some people occasionally do know what mortgage protection is. They take the time to educate themselves. But yeah, you're really not. Availability is very minimal per se. So it's not a sustainable way to build a business. Especially now we're looking at the in the market where it's going. Now, do I think you won't make money? I think you will, 100%, because mortgage protection. When I sold mortgage protection, easy. My lowest premium was around $140 a month, and my highest was like 400 and change. So, which means I was making about good money, very good money. So, I was making more money on one mortgage protection sale. It would take me one mortgage protection sale was equivalent to about 4 to 5 filing expense leads policies. So, I think mortgage protection, highly, if you can get it, do it. Another thing I'd recommend is to be kind of unorthodox and go somewhere in the sense as to you're working against the grain. Learn your own lead generation so you can generate your own mortgage protection leads. It's very easy to target them because you can do mortgage protection in the sense as to you can buy a list of new homeowners, right? People just got your homes. You can upload that targeted list and create a lookalike audience on Facebook, and you can use that to basically run ads. Or you can just go ahead and do a cold email to the people who just got the loans and say, hey, you're with this, blah, blah, blah. If you send out maybe 10,000 emails, you might get maybe 3 or 4. But if you send out 10,000 emails a week, I mean, you get 3 or 4 to sign up every week. That's good money. Okay. Especially if you're looking at about $400 per commission, just on the average end. Now, those numbers are subject to change, right? Just put that disclaimer in. Ease of sale, I'd say it's pretty easy because one, they have the money. So it was pretty easy as far as ease of sale, as long as you got them to understand it. I actually did. So that's going to be a check. ROI, let's kind of do this let's do the math. Let's say I spent $45 on a mortgage protection lead, right? All right. Let's say I spent $45 on a mortgage protection lead, right? Let's say I spent 45 and I was getting paid 2,400, and I would typically spend around 350 to 700 per batch, right? So what that means is when you subtract, let's say high end 700 from 2,400, you have what's called 1,700. So which means your ROI is almost triple. It's almost 3x. You're at least 2x. So which means you get a 2x return on your money just by getting mortgage protection, as opposed to final expense where you're pretty much just about breaking even. So this is roughly about a 2x return. Okay. You might get a little higher, but you're looking at a 2x return. Competition is very, very high. Okay. Because you have to understand, you're not the only one that knows about it. Most people locking out counties. Most people are running ads for mortgage protection. Actually, you know what? I haven't actually seen a lot of Facebook mortgage protection ads or Google mortgage protection ads. So that's something I recommend you do. But for mailers, oh God, they're already gone. They're already gone. So competition is very high. Persistency is like 99%. I kid you not. Of all the policies I've written, I have had zero chargebacks on my mortgage protection. Zero. Zero. Okay, zero. So that's basically it. It stays in the business in the books better. It's longer. They're easier to sell. You make more money. I mean, I'd say go for mortgage protection, but the majority of people you can't find mortgage protection leads. So what I recommend is this: you join, you go to risingresults.com/free trial, and you go ahead and use our advertising tool to launch Facebook ads to get those mortgage protection leads to come to you. That's pretty much what I got for you guys as far as the comparison between foreign expense leads versus mortgage protection leads. I look forward to see you guys on a future video. For now, enjoy.